horizon glows. A unique place exists, unlike others. A land where fire bursts from the depths of the earth, and glaciers, ancient and eternal, guard the secrets of millennia. This is Iceland, the land of fire and ice. A country so raw, so untamed, it feels like stepping into another planet. And yet, every step you take here tells a story carved by lava, shaped by storms, and whispered through the winds that never rest. Today, we embark on a journey across a world born of extremes. And what we'll uncover will make you see Iceland, not just as a destination, but as an experience that will stay with you forever. Iceland's landscapes are the result of violent creation. The island sits on the mid-Atlantic ridge, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates drift apart. Here, the earth literally tears open, letting molten rocks surge upward in a display of raw power. This is not some distant, ancient phenomenon. It is happening right now beneath your feet. Volcanoes are a part of life here, from the infamous Eyjafjallajökull, which halted air traffic across Europe in 2010, to the more recent Fagradalsfjall eruptions that painted the night sky with rivers of fire. The land is constantly rewriting itself. But Iceland is not just about fire, it is equally a kingdom of ice. Massive glaciers, some larger than small countries, blanket the land. Vatnajökull, Europe's largest glacier, is a frozen titan. Its surface, a vast, undulating world of ridges, crevasses, and sparkling blue ice caves. These glaciers are not static monuments. They flow, they crack, and they melt into countless waterfalls that tumble down moss-covered cliffs. In summer, you can walk deep into the heart of these frozen cathedrals, where sunlight filters through translucent walls, bathing you in an otherworldly blue glow. The contrasts here are almost surreal. In one day, you can soak in a steaming hot spring surrounded by snow, then stand on a black sand beach where Atlantic waves crash against jagged basalt columns. You can hike across fields of ancient lava, their surfaces coated in thick green moss, and then gaze up at cliffs where puffins nest by the thousands. It's as if Iceland refuses to be just one thing. It is every landscape, every season, all at once. The culture of Iceland is deeply tied to its environment. The people have learned to live in harmony with the land's unpredictability, drawing on the heat of its geothermal springs for energy, using the midnight sun to grow crops in a place that should be barren, and telling sagas that speak of gods, giants, and heroes who tame the forces of nature. The Icelandic spirit is one of resilience and creativity, born from a place where survival itself was once the greatest art. As the northern lights dance overhead in winter, weaving green and violet ribbons across the night, you understand why Iceland has been the inspiration for countless myths and legends. There's a magic here, one that can't be captured fully in pictures or words. It must be felt in the sting of icy wind, in the rumble of an awakening volcano, in the deep silence of a snow-covered valley. Our journey is only beginning. Ahead lies a deeper exploration into Iceland's most awe-inspiring places, its volcanic heartlands, its glacial giants, and the hidden wonders that few ever see. Each chapter will pull you further into a land where the elements are alive, and where every moment feels like the edge of the world. This is just the first step. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind roaring in your ears, carrying with it the scent of salt and cold. Below, waves the color of steel crash endlessly against black volcanic rock, sending up plumes of spray that sting your face. You feel small, insignificant, before the raw power of nature. This is not just scenery. This is a living, breathing force. This is the Icelandic coastline, where land and sea collide in a relentless battle that has shaped this country for thousands of years. The shores of Iceland are unlike any you've seen before. Forget soft white sands and tranquil turquoise waters here. The beaches are made of black volcanic grains, each one born in the fiery heart of a volcano. Reykjavík, the world-famous black sand beach near the town of Vík, is a place of haunting beauty. Towering basalt columns rise like the pipes of a giant organ, carved by centuries of wind and water. Out at sea, jagged rock formations, known as Reykjavík, stand like sentinels, their dark silhouettes defying the relentless waves. Legends say they were once trolls, caught by the first rays of sunlight and turned to stone forever. But beauty here is never without danger. The ocean surrounding Iceland is powerful, and sneaker waves massive. Unexpected surges can appear without warning, dragging the unwary into its icy depths. Locals speak of the sea with deep respect, knowing that it has taken as much as it has given. Fishing villages, scattered along the coast, depend on these waters for survival. For centuries, fishing was not just an occupation, it was a lifeline. Even today, despite modern technology, the sea demands courage from those who venture into it. Further along the coast, you'll find the dizzying cliffs of Diroli, a promontory crowned by a massive rock arch that the ocean has carved over millennia. In summer, the cliffs are alive with seabirds, kittiwakes, fulmars, and the ever-charming puffins, whose bright orange beaks stand out against the gray sea. Watching them dive into the waves and return to the safety of their burrows is like witnessing a perfectly choreographed dance between air and water. On the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, the coastline becomes a painter's dream. Here, lava fields spill right into the ocean, frozen mid-flow as if the Earth's heart stopped beating for a moment. The Snæfellsjökull glacier looms in the distance, its white crown visible for miles, while tiny fishing towns like Arnarstapi sit quietly along the shore, their colorful houses a striking contrast to the black cliffs. This is where you feel the timelessness of Iceland, the sense that nature here does not hurry for anyone. The Westfjords, remote and wild, offer perhaps the most dramatic coastal landscapes of all. Jagged fjords cut deep into the land, their waters reflecting skies that shift from clear blue to stormy gray in a heartbeat. Roads cling to the mountainsides, winding between towering cliffs and narrow inlets. At the edge of Reykjavík, Europe's largest bird cliff, you stand on the westernmost point of the continent, looking out over an endless ocean that stretches toward Greenland. The wind here can knock you off balance, but it carries with it the thrill of standing at the edge of the known world. Every wave that crashes against these shores is a reminder that Iceland is never still. The coastline is constantly changing, eroded by storms, reshaped by volcanic eruptions, and renewed by the eternal cycle of nature. It's a place that humbles you, a place that strips away the noise of modern life and leaves you with only the raw truth of the Earth's power. And as the sun sets, casting a molten glow across the water, you understand something vital. This island is not just land surrounded by sea. It is a frontier where every inch tells a story of survival, of creation, and of the delicate balance between destruction and beauty. The next part of our journey will take us inland, into the very heart of this island, where fire and ice meet in ways that defy imagination. Picture this. You're walking across a landscape so alien, so surreal. It could be the set of a science fiction film. Steam rises from the earth in ghostly tendrils. The air smells faintly of sulfur, warm against your skin despite the cool wind. Beneath your feet, the ground is alive, cracking, hissing, bubbling. This is Iceland's geothermal heart, where the planet's inner fire pushes up through the crust, reminding us that we live on a restless, molten world. The geothermal wonders of Iceland are not just scenic attractions, they are the lifeblood of the country. Here, the energy that powers homes, heats water, and even warms sidewalks in winter comes straight from the earth itself. It is a remarkable example of living in harmony with the planet's natural forces. In places like Hákarlur Valley, geysers erupt in spectacular displays, shooting boiling water meters into the air. Strokr, the most famous of them all, puts on a show every few minutes, building tension as the water swells into a trembling dome before exploding upward in a blast of steam and spray. Nearby, mud pots bubble like cauldrons, their surfaces rippling with bursts of gas. These are nature's slow, simmering reminders of the volcanic power beneath. Walk among them, and you can feel the heat radiating up through the soles of your shoes, a direct connection to the planet's core. The colors here are astonishing deep reds, burnt oranges, and vivid yellows, painted by minerals drawn up from the depths. Perhaps the most famous geothermal spot in Iceland is the Blue Lagoon. Nestled in a lava field, its milky blue waters are rich in silica and minerals, giving them both their unique color and a reputation for skin-healing properties. While it's a luxury spa today, its origins were humble. The lagoon formed accidentally in the 1970s as runoff from a nearby geothermal power plant. Over time, it became a national treasure, where visitors soak in the warmth while surrounded by cold winds and stark volcanic scenery. But the true magic of Iceland's geothermal energy isn't just in its beauty, it's in its practicality. Towns like Reykjavík are heated almost entirely by geothermal power, making them some of the most sustainable cities in the world. Hot water from underground springs flows directly into homes, greenhouses, and public baths. This natural resource allows fresh vegetables to grow year-round, even when snow blankets the ground outside. Then there are the natural hot springs scattered across the countryside, some hidden deep in valleys or high in the mountains, where you can bathe in steaming pools under the open sky. The secret lagoon in Flúðir, or the remote Landmannalaugar pools in the highlands, offer something that no modern spa can replicate: a sense of connection to the land itself. You sit in the warm water, surrounded by untouched wilderness, and feel the heartbeat of the earth all around you. Geothermal energy is also a key part of Iceland's culture. The tradition of public bathing goes back to the earliest settlers, who saw hot springs not only as a source of warmth but as a place for community and storytelling. Even today, you'll find locals gathering at thermal pools to relax, talk, and share news. It's a ritual that links modern life with ancient heritage. Standing in these geothermal landscapes, it's easy to understand why Icelanders have such respect for nature. The same forces that give life to the island can also take it away in an instant. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and geothermal activity are constant reminders that this land is never truly tamed. But rather than fearing it, the people here have learned to work with it, turning danger into opportunity and heat into life. As we move forward on our journey, we leave behind the steam and the sulfur-scented air and head toward Iceland's glacial realms. Here, the power of ice is every bit as commanding as the fire we've just witnessed, and together, they shape the very soul of this land. Imagine a frozen giant, stretching across the horizon, shimmering under the pale light of the northern sun. It groans and cracks, as if it's breathing alive in a way you've never seen ice before. This is Iceland's glacial kingdom, where rivers of ice carve deep valleys, and time itself seems to move at the slow pace of melting snow. Here, in the realm of the frozen, nature's power is quiet, but no less absolute. Iceland's glaciers are more than just colossal sheets of ice. They are ancient storytellers. Each layer of snow that is compacted over centuries holds a record of the planet's past, trapping air bubbles from ages long gone. Scientists can drill deep into these frozen archives and read a climate history stretching back thousands of years. Vatnajökull, the largest glacier in Europe, is so vast it covers nearly 8% of Iceland's surface. Standing at its edge feels like staring into infinity, an endless expanse of white and blue that swallows the horizon. These glaciers are not static monuments. They move slowly, silently grinding away at the rock beneath them. In summer, meltwater streams pour from their bases, feeding some of Iceland's most spectacular waterfalls. In winter, when the snow thickens and the cold seals the surface, they transform into silent fortresses of ice. But deep inside, there is movement. And if you venture into an ice cave, you can hear it drips of water, echoing through chambers of translucent blue, walls that seem to glow from within. One of the most breathtaking glacial experiences lies at Jökulsárlón, a vast glacial lagoon where icebergs break away from Vatnajökull and drift slowly toward the sea. Each iceberg is a unique sculpture shaped by wind, water, and time, some crystal clear, others streaked with volcanic ash from eruptions long past. Eventually, they wash up on nearby Diamond Beach, where black volcanic sand becomes a glittering stage for chunks of ice that sparkle in the sunlight. It's a place so surreal, it feels as though the Earth itself decided to create a gallery of frozen art. Iceland's glaciers are also gateways to adventure. Guided tours lead you across their surfaces, equipped with crampons and ice axes, letting you feel the crunch of ancient snow beneath your feet. You can climb towering ice walls, peer into bottomless crevasses, or explore hidden caves that shift and change with the seasons. Every visit is unique, because the glacier is always alive, always remaking itself. Yet, these giants are vulnerable. Climate change is melting them at an alarming rate, shrinking their reach year after year. For Icelanders, this is more than an environmental concern, it's personal. Glaciers are woven into their culture, their economy, and their sense of identity. To lose them would be to lose a piece of the country's soul. That's why efforts are underway to document and protect these frozen treasures before they vanish. The glaciers also shape the weather here. Cold air flows down from their surfaces, meeting warmer winds from the sea to create sudden storms, heavy fog, or breathtaking displays of light. On clear nights, their white expanses reflect the glow of the aurora borealis, turning the world into a shimmering, dreamlike landscape. As you stand on the ice, surrounded by silence so deep you can hear your own heartbeat, you realize this is not just frozen water. This is history. This is power. This is beauty carved by centuries, standing against the sun's relentless touch. And yet, even the mightiest glacier knows it cannot last forever. Our journey will soon take us to another of Iceland's treasures, the waterfalls born from this melting ice, roaring reminders of the eternal cycle between the frozen and the flowing. From the quiet strength of the glaciers, we will follow the water's path into some of the most spectacular cascades in the world. The sound reaches you before the sight does a deep, rolling roar, like distant thunder that never ends. You follow it through a landscape of moss-covered cliffs and shifting mist, until suddenly, it's there before you. A wall of water, plunging from dizzying heights, crashing into a pool below with primal force. This is Iceland's gift to the senses, its waterfalls. They're not just beautiful, they are alive, each one with its own voice, its own story, its own soul. Iceland is a land shaped by water in motion, fed by melting glaciers, rainfall, and countless streams. The country has thousands of waterfalls, so many that even locals sometimes lose count. Some roar with unstoppable might. Others tumble gently, almost shyly, down sheer cliffs. But they all have one thing in common. They stop you in your tracks. Perhaps the most famous of them all is Gullfoss, the Golden Falls. Here, the Wita River plunges into a rugged canyon in two spectacular tiers, sending up plumes of mist that catch the sunlight and create rainbows so vivid they seem painted in the air. Gullfoss is more than just a pretty view. It's a symbol of Iceland's dedication to protecting its natural wonders. In the early 20th century, it was nearly lost to a hydroelectric project, but a determined local woman, Sigríður Tómasdóttir, fought tirelessly to save it. Her courage ensured that Gullfoss remains wild and free to this day. Then there's Seljalandsfoss, the waterfall you can walk behind. As you step onto the narrow path that curves behind the curtain of water, you're enveloped in a fine mist, the sound of the falls surrounding you from all sides. The view from behind is like looking out from a secret cave, with the entire world framed by tumbling water. At sunset, when the sky burns gold and pink, it feels like stepping into a dream. Not far away lies Skogafoss, one of Iceland's largest and most powerful waterfalls. Its sheer drop of 60 meters creates a constant cloud of mist, and on sunny days, you can see double rainbows forming at its base. Legend has it that a Viking treasure is hidden behind the falls, placed there centuries ago by a local chieftain. Whether or not the treasure exists, Skogafoss has already given the world something priceless, a sense of awe that can't be measured. In the remote north, Dettifoss holds the title of Europe's most powerful waterfall. Standing at its edge, you can feel the ground tremble beneath you as 193 cubic meters of water crash down every second. The sheer force is overwhelming. It's less like watching a waterfall and more like witnessing the raw muscle of the planet. Few places on Earth make you feel the Earth's pulse quite like Dettifoss. Even the lesser-known waterfalls are extraordinary. Hyfoss, hidden in the highlands, drops 122 meters into a narrow canyon, surrounded by nothing but wild, untouched land. Dinjandi in the West Fjord spreads out like a bridal veil, its tiers widening as they descend, each layer spilling into the next in graceful harmony. And then there are the countless unnamed cascades you stumble upon while driving Iceland's ring road, water pouring down from cliff edges, as if the island itself can't hold it all in. Waterfalls are more than scenic stops. They are lifelines for the land. Their constant flow nourishes the valleys, shapes the cliffs, and feeds the rivers that run to the sea. For centuries, they have also been woven into Icelandic folklore. Many are believed to be home to hidden people or spirits, their mist-shrouded bases serving as portals to other worlds. Standing before them, it's not hard to imagine such magic. In Iceland, you don't just see waterfalls, you feel them. You feel the spray on your face, the vibration in your chest, the rush of cold air that rises from their plunge. Pools. They remind you that water is both gentle and unstoppable, a sculptor of landscapes and a keeper of time. As our journey continues, we will follow these rivers further still, tracing them to where they meet Iceland's highland wilderness, a rugged, remote heartland of volcanic deserts, rainbow mountains, and hidden geothermal valleys. It is here, away from the coasts and the crowds, that Iceland reveals its wildest side. The road disappears behind you, replaced by a ribbon of dirt and gravel that winds into a vast, untamed wilderness. There are no towns here, no farms, no sign of human life, only a raw, otherworldly landscape that stretches to the horizon. This is Iceland's highland heart, a place so remote and wild that for much of the year it's inaccessible, locked away under snow and ice. But in the short summer, when the highland roads open, it reveals a side of Iceland that few ever see, a land of volcanic deserts, rainbow-colored mountains, and geothermal valleys that steam beneath a sky so wide it seems to swallow you whole. The highlands are the soul of Iceland's wildness. Here, the forces that shaped the island are on full display. Vast lava fields stretch like frozen oceans, their surfaces cracked and jagged, remnants of eruptions that happened centuries or even weeks ago. The ground is a patchwork of black ash, red volcanic rock, and streaks of sulfur yellow, all set against glaciers that gleam white in the distance. It's a stark beauty, a place where color seems sharper, air feels cleaner, and silence has a weight to it. One of the highlands' crown jewels is Landmannalaugar, famous for its rhyolite mountains that glow in shades of gold, pink, and green. Hiking here feels like stepping into a painting. Every turn in the trail reveals a new palette, from deep blue lava fields to steaming geothermal vents. This is also a place of relaxation. Natural hot springs bubble at the edge of the mountains, inviting weary hikers to soak while surrounded by scenery so unreal, it's hard to believe it's part of our planet. Further north lies the black desert of Sprengisandur, a desolate expanse of ash and gravel that feels like the surface of the moon. Crossing it is an adventure in itself. There are no paved roads, just rough tracks for rugged 4x4s, and the route is marked by river crossings where glacial meltwater rushes cold and fast. In this emptiness, you begin to understand why early Icelanders spoke of the highlands as a place inhabited by spirits and outlaws. It is both beautiful and intimidating, a reminder that nature here doesn't bend to human will. The highlands are also home to some of Iceland's most dramatic volcanic sites. Hekla, one of the country's most active volcanoes, looms over the southern highlands, its slopes darkened by countless eruptions. Nearby, the volcanic caldera of Askja hides a turquoise crater lake, warm enough in summer for the bravest to take a dip. Standing at its edge, surrounded by walls of jagged rock, you feel like you've wandered into another world, one born entirely of fire. Life here is scarce but remarkable. Moss clings stubbornly to the lava, turning entire hillsides into a soft green carpet. Tiny flowers bloom in cracks between stones, defying the harsh winds. Arctic foxes roam the ridges, their fur blending with the rock, while birds wheel overhead, their calls echoing in the stillness. In the highlands, survival is not guaranteed, and every living thing seems to carry the strength of generations in its roots and bones. Traveling here requires respect. Weather can shift in an instant. Sunlit valleys can be swallowed by fog within minutes, and rivers can swell dangerously after heavy rain. But for those who venture in prepared, the reward is an intimacy with Iceland's rawest essence. The highlands strip away the distractions of modern life, leaving only the pure connection between human and earth. At night, when the sky clears, the highlands become a theater for the stars. Far from city lights, the Milky Way arcs overhead, mirrored in glacial streams and quiet pools. In late summer, the first flickers of the northern lights may appear, twisting green ribbons across the black sky. In that moment, you understand why the highlands are a place of pilgrimage for travelers seeking not just adventure, but transformation. From here, our journey will lead us toward Iceland's volcanic craters, massive scars on the land that tell stories of destruction and rebirth. Each one is a reminder that this island is not finished being made, and that the forces that built it are still at work beneath our feet. It begins with a tremor, small, almost unnoticeable deep beneath the earth. Then, without warning, the land splits open. Smoke rises. The air fills with the scent of sulfur, and molten rock surges upward, glowing like the heart of a star. In Iceland, this is not a distant memory from ancient times. It is the present, a living force that still shapes the island today. Welcome to the world of Iceland's volcanic craters, the scars and storytellers of a restless earth. Iceland sits atop one of the most geologically active zones on the planet, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates drift apart a few centimeters each year. This slow-motion separation creates constant volcanic activity, and over the centuries, eruptions have left the island dotted with craters, each one a frozen moment of destruction, and each one a monument to nature's power. One of the most striking is Carve, a volcanic crater lake in the south. Its walls glow in shades of red and ochre, a stark contrast to the vivid blue water that now fills its basin. Scientists believe it formed about 30 years ago, either from a collapsed magma chamber or an explosive eruption. Standing at its rim, you can see the layers of rock, each a record of past eruptions like pages in a book written in lava. Further north lies the Mývatn region, a volcanic wonderland filled with craters of every shape and size. Here, the explosion crater of Reykjavík rises like a perfect gray cone from the surrounding landscape, its smooth slopes a testament to the sheer power of a single blast thousands of years ago. Climbing to the top rewards you with a view into the wide, barren bowl inside and across a land still shaped by ongoing geothermal activity. Some craters, like Eldborg, seem almost too perfect to be real. Its name means Fortress of Fire, and from above, it looks like a massive crown of dark rock rising from the lava fields. Eldborg last erupted over 50 years ago, but its sharp, well-preserved walls make it easy to imagine the molten rivers that once poured from its summit. Others, like the Laki craters, tell a much darker story. In 1783, Laki unleashed one of the most catastrophic eruptions in recorded history, spewing lava and toxic gases for 8 months. The effects were felt far beyond Iceland. Crop failures spread across Europe, and the climate cooled worldwide. More recently, Iceland has seen eruptions that captured the attention of the modern world. Eyjafjallajökull, The volcano, whose name became a tongue twister for news anchors in 2010, erupted with such force that it grounded air traffic across Europe for weeks. The event was a reminder that despite our technology, we are still at the mercy of the Earth's moods. And in 2021, after centuries of silence, the Fagradalsfjall volcano came to life, sending fountains of lava high into the night sky. Unlike the destructive Laki eruption, Fagradalsfjall became a place of pilgrimage. Thousands of people hiked to watch new land being born before their eyes. Craters are not just scars of violence. They are also symbols of renewal. In the years after an eruption, life begins to creep back. Moss covers the cooled lava. Wildflowers bloom in sheltered spots, and birds nest in the quiet walls. The cycle of destruction and rebirth is constant here, proof that Iceland is still very much a work in progress. Exploring these craters is like walking through time. Each one tells a different chapter of the island's story. Some peaceful, some devastating, all unforgettable. They remind us that beneath the beauty of Iceland lies a raw, unpredictable heart. And while eruptions can reshape the land overnight, they also create some of its most breathtaking landscapes. As we leave the volcanic craters behind, our path will take us to another extraordinary force of Icelandic nature, its rivers and lakes. Fed by glaciers, rainfall, and geothermal springs, they are the lifelines of this island, carving valleys, nourishing life, and reflecting the ever-changing skies. It begins with a tremor, small, almost unnoticeable, deep beneath the earth. Then, without warning, the land splits open. Smoke rises, the air fills with the scent of sulfur, and molten rock surges upward, glowing like the heart of a star. In Iceland, this is not a distant memory from ancient times. It is the present, a living force that still shapes the island today. Welcome to the world of Iceland's volcanic craters, the scars and storytellers of a restless Earth. Iceland sits atop one of the most geologically active zones on the planet, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates drift apart a few centimeters each year. This slow-motion separation creates constant volcanic activity, and over the centuries, eruptions have left the island dotted with craters, each one a frozen moment of destruction, and each one a monument to nature's power. One of the most striking is Carve, a volcanic crater lake in the south. Its walls glow in shades of red and ochre, a stark contrast to the vivid blue water that now fills its basin. Scientists believe it formed about 3,000 years ago, either from a collapsed magma chamber or an explosive eruption. Standing at its rim, you can see the layers of rock, each a record of past eruptions like pages in a book written in lava. Further north lies the Mývatn region, a volcanic wonderland filled with craters of every shape and size. Here, the explosion crater of Herjólfur rises like a perfect gray cone from the surrounding landscape, its smooth slopes a testament to the sheer power of a single blast thousands of years ago. Climbing to the top rewards you with a view into the wide, barren bowl inside and across a land still shaped by ongoing geothermal activity. Some craters, like Eldborg, seem almost too perfect to be real. Its name means Fortress of Fire, and from above, it looks like a massive crown of dark rock rising from the lava fields. Eldborg last erupted over 50 years ago, but its sharp, well-preserved walls make it easy to imagine the molten rivers that once poured from its summit. Others, like the Laki craters, tell a much darker story. In 1783, Laki unleashed one of the most catastrophic eruptions in recorded history, spewing lava and toxic gases for 8 months. The effects were felt far beyond Iceland. Crop failures spread across Europe, and the climate cooled worldwide. More recently, Iceland has seen eruptions that captured the attention of the modern world. Eyjafjallajökull, the volcano whose name became a tongue twister for news anchors in 2010, erupted with such force that it grounded air traffic across Europe for weeks. The event was a reminder that despite our technology, we are still at the mercy of the Earth's moods. And in 2021, after centuries of silence, the Fagradalsfjall volcano came to life, sending fountains of lava high into the night sky. Unlike the destructive Laki eruption, Fagradalsfjall became a place of pilgrimage. Thousands of people hiked to watch new land being born before their eyes. Craters are not just scars of violence, they are also symbols of renewal. In the years after an eruption, life begins to creep back. Moss covers the cooled lava, wildflowers bloom in sheltered spots, and birds nest in the quiet walls. The cycle of destruction and rebirth is constant here, proof that Iceland is still very much a work in progress. Exploring these craters is like walking through time. Each one tells a different chapter of the island's story, some peaceful, some devastating, all unforgettable. They remind us that beneath the beauty of Iceland lies a raw, unpredictable heart. And while eruptions can reshape the land overnight, they also create some of its most breathtaking landscapes. As we leave the volcanic craters behind, our path will take us to another extraordinary force of Icelandic nature, its rivers and lakes. Fed by glaciers, rainfall, and geothermal springs, they are the lifelines of this island, carving valleys, nourishing life, and reflecting the ever-changing skies. It begins with stillness. The air is calm, the water glassy, reflecting the jagged mountains that rise like guardians on either side. Then, from somewhere in the distance, comes the low, mournful call of a seabird, echoing across the vast expanse. This is the Icelandic fjord country, a place where the sea reaches deep into the land, carving winding inlets over thousands of years. Here, nature's beauty is both grand and intimate, a meeting of towering cliffs, quiet harbors, and remote villages that seem untouched by time. Iceland's fjords are the legacy of the last ice age, carved by glaciers that once flowed from the highlands to the ocean. As the ice retreated, it left behind steep-sided valleys that the sea slowly flooded, creating these breathtaking waterways. Each fjord has its own character. In the West Fjords, the landscapes are wild and dramatic, with mountains plunging straight into the ocean and narrow roads clinging to the cliffs. In the east, the fjords are gentler, dotted with charming fishing villages and sheltered bays where the water glows a deep, mysterious blue. Ísafjörður, the largest town in the West Fjords, sits on a narrow spit of land surrounded by mountains on three sides. Life here moves at its own pace, shaped by the rhythms of the sea. Fishing has sustained this community for centuries, and colorful boats still line the harbor, their nets drying in the crisp air. Visitors often find themselves lingering, drawn in by the warmth of the locals and the quiet magic of the place. In the east, Seyðisfjörður welcomes travelers with rows of brightly painted wooden houses, a legacy of 19th century Norwegian settlers. The town is framed by snow-capped peaks and waterfalls that cascade down the mountainsides in silver ribbons. Its artsy atmosphere, fueled by a mix of residents and travelers, gives it a unique charm, and the sound of water is never far away, whether it's the rush of a stream or the gentle lap of the fjord against the shore. The fjords are also home to some of Iceland's most spectacular wildlife. Puffins nest on the cliffs, seals haul themselves onto rocky shores to bask in the sun, and in the summer months, whales patrol the deep waters. Humpbacks, minke whales, and even the occasional blue whale can be seen surfacing in these sheltered inlets. In places like Húsavík, whale watching has become both a livelihood and a way of connecting visitors to the rich marine life that thrives just offshore. Traveling through the fjords is a journey in patience and reward. The roads are winding, sometimes gravel, and the weather can change in an instant. But every turn offers a new view, an isolated farm tucked into a green valley, a waterfall plunging straight into the sea, a fishing boat heading out into the mist. The fjords have a way of making you slow down, to savor the details and let the quiet sink into your bones. For centuries, these inlets were lifelines for isolated communities. Before modern roads and air travel, the sea was the only reliable connection to the outside world. Boats carried goods, news, and people from one fjord to another, weaving a network of relationships across the rugged coastline. Even today, the fjords feel like self-contained worlds, each with its own identity and traditions. And then there are the nights. When the sun sets in the fjords, the world seems to hold its breath. In summer, twilight lingers for hours, bathing the water in soft pinks and golds. In winter, darkness falls early, and the northern lights can suddenly blaze across the sky, their reflection shimmering in the still waters below. It's in moments like these that you understand why so many people fall in love with this remote, hidden corner of Iceland. From the fjords, our path will take us even further into Iceland's wild coastlines, out to its islands and peninsulas, where volcanic cliffs meet the open ocean, and where the line between land and sea becomes beautifully blurred. Here, life thrives in the most unlikely places, and every view feels like the edge of the world. The sea here feels different, wilder, freer, as if it's been waiting for centuries to tell its stories. Offshore, dark silhouettes rise from the waves, jagged, volcanic islands shaped by the same forces that built Iceland itself. These islands and peninsulas are like scattered jewels along the country's coastline, each one with its own character, history, and secrets. Some are bustling with life. Others are lonely outposts where seabirds outnumber humans 1,000 to 1, but all of them share the same raw beauty that defines Iceland. Just south of the mainland lies the Westman Islands, or Vestmannaeyjar, a cluster of volcanic isles that seem to rise straight from the sea. The largest, Heimaey, is a living testament to the unpredictable power of nature. In 1973, a sudden volcanic eruption buried parts of the town in ash and lava, forcing the entire population to evacuate. Miraculously, the island was saved from total destruction when locals pumped seawater onto the advancing lava, cooling and diverting its flow. Today, you can still walk among the hardened black rock that swallowed streets and buildings. A reminder that life here exists at the mercy of the earth. The Westman Islands are also one of the best places in the world to see puffins. In summer, these charming seabirds fill the cliffs, diving into the water and returning with beaks full of fish. Every year, when the fledgling puffins take their first flights, some become disoriented by the town's lights. Local children join in a long-standing tradition of rescuing them gently, catching the lost birds, and releasing them back into the wild the next day. On Iceland's western edge, the Snæfellsnes Peninsula juts into the North Atlantic, often called Iceland in miniature, because it contains so many of the country's natural wonders in one place: volcanoes, glaciers, black sand beaches, and rugged lava fields. At its tip rises the glacier-capped Snæfellsjökull volcano, made famous by Jules Verne in Journey to the Center of the Earth. The peninsula is dotted with tiny fishing villages like Arnarstapi and Helnar, where colorful houses cluster against dramatic basalt cliffs, and the sea crashes in foamy white waves below. In the north, the island of Grimsey lies just off the Arctic Circle, making it one of the few places in Iceland where you can stand with one foot in the Arctic and the other in the temperate zone. The island is small, only a few square kilometers, but its cliffs are alive with birds, and its isolation gives it a peaceful, timeless feel. Few travelers make it here, but those who do are rewarded with the pure, unbroken beauty of the far north. Then there's Flatey, in Breiðafjörður Bay, a flat and grassy island that feels almost like a painting of old Iceland. In summer, wildflowers cover the meadows, seabirds nest along the shores, and the few residents welcome visitors with warmth and quiet hospitality. There are no rushing cars, no neon lights, just the slow rhythm of island life and the endless views of the surrounding sea. These islands and peninsulas have always been lifelines for Icelanders. For centuries, they provided fishing grounds, bird hunting cliffs, and safe harbors in dangerous waters. Many have their own myths and legends, stories of ghosts, shipwrecks, and hidden treasures passed down through generations. Standing on their shores, watching the waves roll in, you can almost hear the voices of those who once braved the seas in open boats, trusting their lives to skill, luck, and the mercy of the ocean. Traveling among Iceland's islands and peninsulas is an experience of contrasts. One moment you're surrounded by the cries of thousands of nesting birds. The next, you're walking through a silent lava field where nothing moves but the wind. You might hike along cliffs so high you can see the curvature of the earth, then descend to a sheltered cove where seals laze on the rocks and the water is as calm as glass. From here, our journey will head beneath the surface into the hidden world of Iceland's caves, where lava and ice have created underground cathedrals of astonishing beauty. These dark, secret spaces hold both geological wonders and ancient stories, waiting to be uncovered. Beneath Iceland's dramatic surface lies another world hidden, silent, and full of mystery. Here, deep under the ground or carved into the ice, are passageways and chambers shaped over thousands of years by fire and frost. Step inside, and the noise of the outside world fades away, replaced by the echo of dripping water, the soft crunch of your footsteps, and the ancient stillness of the earth itself. These caves are more than geological wonders. They are time capsules, preserving the raw story of Iceland's creation. One of the most striking examples is Vatnshellir, a lava cave on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, formed during a volcanic eruption around 80 years ago. It lies like a frozen river of rock beneath the ground. Descending the spiral staircase into its depths feels like stepping back into the moment the molten lava last flowed here. The tunnel twists and turns, its walls textured with ripples and folds where the liquid rock cooled. With only a headlamp to guide you, the darkness feels alive, wrapping around you as if you've entered the heart of the earth. Then there's Loftalir, an ice cave unlike anything else in Iceland. Hidden in a lava field near Lake Mývatn, this cave is famous for its surreal formations of ice-delicate sculptures that have been growing for centuries. Inside, the air is cold and crisp, and the ice glistens under your light like glass. The stillness is so complete that you can hear the faint creak of ice shifting or a drop of water falling from the ceiling. It's a place that blurs the line between the natural and the magical, where every frozen column feels like a work of art. Some of Iceland's caves have a long history of human use. Surtshjallir, one of the country's largest lava caves, was once a refuge for outlaws in the Middle Ages. According to legend, these men lived deep inside the darkness, hidden from the law, surviving on stolen livestock. Even today, the soot-blackened walls bear witness to ancient fires, and the cave's name linked to Surtur, a fire giant from Norse mythology, adds a layer of myth to its forbidding atmosphere. Of course, not all of Iceland's caves are born of fire. In the glaciers, meltwater, and shifting ice carve tunnels and chambers of breathtaking beauty. Every winter, new ice caves form in places like Vatnajökull and Langjökull, glowing with shades of blue so vivid they seem unreal. Entering one is like walking into a frozen cathedral, where the light filters through the ice in shifting patterns and the walls seem to breathe with the slow movement of the glacier. These caves are temporary, constantly changing, and eventually disappearing, making them one of Iceland's most fleeting treasures. Exploring these underground realms requires care and respect. The rock can be sharp and slippery, the ice fragile and unpredictable. But with the right guidance, they offer an unforgettable glimpse into the forces that shaped Iceland. Standing in a lava tube, you can feel the heat of ancient eruptions in the patterns on the walls. Inside an ice cave, you're surrounded by water locked in its most beautiful form, older than memory. For centuries, Icelanders have told stories about these hidden places, tales of trolls turned to stone at sunrise, of spirits dwelling in the earth, and of secret passages leading to other worlds. Whether you believe the legends or not, it's hard not to feel that there's something alive in these caves, something ancient that watches as you pass through. From here, we'll leave the darkness behind and step into one of Iceland's most fascinating contrasts. Its vibrant capital city, Reykjavík. It's here, amid the colorful houses and bustling streets, that modern Iceland meets its wild, ancient heart. In a land defined by raw nature and untamed landscapes, Reykjavík feels like a bright splash of color on a vast canvas of green, black, and white. Yet this small, vibrant capital is more than just a city. It's the beating heart of Iceland, where ancient traditions meet bold modern creativity. The air is crisp and fresh. The streets are lined with colorful houses that seem to glow against the often gray sky. And there's an energy here that pulls you in from the moment you arrive. Reykjavík may be one of the smallest capitals in the world, but it holds a spirit far larger than its size. Walking through its streets, you feel both the intimacy of a small town and the cultural richness of a much larger place. The city's main artery, Reykjavík, is lined with boutique shops, cozy cafes, and art galleries, each one offering a glimpse into the Icelandic way of life. Locals greet each other by name, yet visitors are welcomed as if they've always been part of the community. The scent of freshly baked bread drifts from bakeries, blending with the aroma of rich coffee, a must-have in a city where the long winter nights invite hours of conversation over warm drinks. Reykjavík is deeply tied to its maritime history. Down by the old harbor, fishing boats still come and go, just as they have for centuries. But alongside them now are whale-watching vessels and sleek yachts, a reminder of how the city has embraced both tradition and tourism. From here, you can gaze out over the cold waters of Faxaflói Bay, with snow-capped mountains rising in the distance, a view that never fails to remind you how close nature always is, even in the capital. One of Reykjavík's most striking landmarks is Hallgrímskirkja, the towering concrete church whose design was inspired by the basalt columns found throughout Iceland's volcanic landscapes. Climbing to the top of its spire rewards you with a panoramic view of the city's colorful rooftops, the harbor, and the vast wilderness beyond. On clear days, the sea sparkles to the west, while to the east, mountains stand like silent guardians over the city. The city also pulses with creativity. Music flows from every corner, whether it's an impromptu performance in a cafe, a street musician strumming by the harbor, or one of the many festivals that fill the calendar. Reykjavík has given the world internationally acclaimed artists and musicians, but its creative scene remains deeply rooted in the Icelandic spirit. Experimental, fearless, and full of emotion. The art galleries, murals, and sculptures scattered throughout the city reflect both its history and its ever-evolving identity. Despite its modern vibe, Reykjavík carries its heritage proudly. The National Museum tells the story of Iceland from the Viking Age to the present, while the Settlement Exhibition reveals the remains of the very first houses built here over 1,000 years ago. These places connect you to the people who first made this harsh land, their home people who built a community in a place where the winters were long, the seas were dangerous, and survival required both resilience and cooperation. Food in Reykjavík is a reflection of the country's history and its creativity. Traditional dishes like lamb stew and freshly caught fish share the table with innovative creations that push the boundaries of Icelandic cuisine. Chefs here are unafraid to experiment, drawing on the pure, fresh ingredients that the land and sea provide. Eating in Reykjavík isn't just about satisfying hunger, it's about tasting Iceland itself. At night, the city transforms. In summer, the midnight sun keeps the streets alive with music and laughter well into the early hours. In winter, the darkness is pierced by the glow of street lamps, the warmth of firelit bars, and, if you're lucky, the ethereal shimmer of the northern lights overhead. Reykjavík's nightlife is famous for being as lively as its days are peaceful, and it's not uncommon for locals to dance until dawn. Reykjavík is a city that refuses to be defined by its size. It's a meeting place of past and present, of land and sea, of tradition and innovation. Here, you can start your morning watching the sunrise over the bay, spend your afternoon exploring art and history, and end your day with live music under a sky lit by the aurora. In Reykjavík, every moment feels connected to the people, to the culture, and to the wild beauty that surrounds it. From this lively hub, our journey will take us out once more into the countryside, where Iceland's remarkable geothermal wonders show us how deeply the country's life is tied to the power of the earth itself. Beneath the rugged landscapes of Iceland lies an invisible force, one that shapes the land, powers its homes, and draws travelers from across the world. This is a country where the earth is restless, where heat and pressure build beneath the surface, and where nature puts on daily displays of raw, untamed energy. In Iceland, geothermal power isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's a way of life. From steaming vents in the middle of snow-covered fields to entire towns heated by underground heat, this is where the fire beneath our feet becomes part of the everyday. The most famous example of this subterranean power is the Blue Lagoon. Set in a lava field on the Reykjanes Peninsula, its milky blue waters seem almost unreal, a stark contrast to the black volcanic rock around it. The lagoon isn't a natural hot spring, it's fed by water from a nearby geothermal power plant, but its warm, mineral-rich waters have made it one of Iceland's most iconic attractions. Bathing here is more than a relaxing experience. It's a reminder of how seamlessly Icelanders blend technology with nature. But the Blue Lagoon is only the beginning. All over the country, geothermal hot springs bubble to the surface, some hidden deep in the wilderness and others right in the middle of small towns. In the Reykjavík Valley, known as the Steam Valley, a short hike through hills dotted with steaming vents leads you to a warm river where you can bathe surrounded by mountains. The air is cool, the water is soothing, and the scent of sulfur reminds you that the earth beneath you is alive. Geysers are another dramatic showcase of Iceland's geothermal energy. The Great Geysir, from which all others get their name, was once one of the most powerful in the world, shooting boiling water high into the air. Today, its neighbor Strokor steals the show, erupting every few minutes in a reliable burst that thrills onlookers. Watching it, you can't help but feel the force that pushes that column of water skyward, the same force that once tore open volcanoes and shaped the island itself. This geothermal energy is not just for show, it's a cornerstone of Iceland's sustainability. Over 90% of homes in the country are heated with geothermal water piped directly from the ground. Streets and sidewalks in Reykjavík are kept ice-free in winter using underground heat, turning even the coldest days into something manageable. Iceland has turned its location on the mid-Atlantic ridge into a source of comfort, clean energy, and innovation, proving that living with nature can mean thriving alongside it. Some geothermal areas look like scenes from another planet. Take Leverir, near Lake Mývatn, where mud pots bubble and fumaroles hiss, sending plumes of steam into the air. The ground here is painted in shades of orange, yellow, and white, stained by minerals brought to the surface by the heat. The smell of sulfur is strong, the sound of boiling water constant, and the whole landscape feels both hostile and fascinating, an open window into the Earth's inner workings. In Iceland's history, these geothermal sites have also been woven into everyday survival. For centuries, hot springs were used for cooking, washing, and bathing long before electricity or central heating. Even now, many rural communities have public pools fed directly by geothermal water, serving as both a gathering place and a connection to the land's natural gifts. Yet, geothermal power also carries a humbling message. It reminds you that Iceland sits atop one of the most geologically active places on Earth. The same energy that warms homes and fills hot springs is also capable of fueling devastating volcanic eruptions. It's a delicate balance, one that Icelanders have learned to respect over centuries of living in harmony with, and sometimes in defiance of, their volatile environment. Standing in a geothermal field, with steam rising around you and the ground warm beneath your feet, it's impossible not to feel a deep connection to the planet itself. Here, you're not just observing nature, you're standing in its heartbeat. The Earth breathes, moves, and speaks here, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear the whisper of the magma far below. From the steaming pools and erupting geysers, our journey will next take us to a very different kind of Icelandic wonder, where the elements of fire and ice meet the endless expanse of the sea, and the cliffs and coasts tell stories written by the wind and waves. The coastline of Iceland is a masterpiece, carved by time, shaped by the relentless power of wind, waves, and ice. Here, the meeting point of land and sea is anything but gentle. Towering cliffs rise like fortress walls from the ocean. Sea stacks stand as lonely sentinels against the surf, and black sand beaches stretch like ribbons into the distance. This is where the Atlantic roars against volcanic stone, where every gust of wind and crashing wave tells the story of centuries of erosion, creation, and rebirth. One of the most dramatic places to witness this battle is at Reykjavík beach, near the village of Vík on Iceland's south coast. Its black sands, formed from volcanic rock ground down over millennia, gleam under both sun and cloud. Just offshore, the Reykjavík sea stacks pierce the water like jagged teeth, each one wrapped in legend. Locals say they were once trolls caught in the sunlight, frozen forever in stone. The waves here are powerful and unpredictable, with sneaker waves capable of surging far up the shore without warning, a reminder that beauty and danger often live side by side in Iceland's landscapes. Not far from here, Dýralíf stands as a natural arch of stone, reaching out into the ocean. From its high vantage point, you can see endless stretches of coastline in both directions, the Mýrdalsjökull glacier glistening inland, and puffins nesting along the cliff edges in summer. The wind here is fierce, carrying with it the salt of the sea and the cries of seabirds. Standing at the edge, you feel the sheer scale of Iceland's coastal wilderness and how small you are within it. On the island's western side lies the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, often called Iceland in miniature for its mix of landscapes. Along its coast, jagged cliffs like those at Arnarstapi and Helnar are riddled with basalt columns, arches, and caves. The ocean crashes into these formations with relentless force, sending spray into the air. Beneath the cliffs, stone bridges and sea caves create hidden worlds where the tide whispers and roars and turns. Here, the sea feels alive, constantly reshaping the land in ways both subtle and dramatic. Further north, the West Fjords reveal some of Iceland's most remote and untouched shores. Reykjavík, Europe's largest bird cliff, stretches for 14 kilometers and soars hundreds of meters above the sea. Millions of birds nest here each summer, including puffins so fearless they'll waddle right up to you. The view from the cliff edge is staggering, the deep blue Atlantic stretching endlessly into the horizon, the sound of waves echoing from far below. This is a place where nature still feels completely wild, where human presence is just a fleeting visitor in a much older story. The coastline isn't just about dramatic cliffs and beaches, it's also a record of Iceland's history. Fishing villages dot the shore, their brightly painted houses and small harbors sheltered from the worst of the storms. For centuries, the sea was both the lifeblood and the greatest danger for Icelanders. It provided food, connection, and trade. But it also took lives in fierce storms and icy waters. Even today, the ocean's moods dictate much of life in these communities. Iceland's coast is also home to remarkable wildlife. Seals haul themselves onto rocky outcrops to rest, whales breach in the deep waters offshore, and Arctic terns swoop and dive in great numbers during the summer months. Each season brings its own rhythm, the quiet, icy stillness of winter, the bursting life of spring, the endless daylight of summer, and the golden calm of autumn. Walking along these shores, you can feel how the ocean has shaped not just the land, but the people who live here. It has demanded resilience, rewarded patience, and inspired countless legends and songs. The connection between the Icelanders and their coastline runs deep. It is both a provider and a challenger, a constant reminder that life here is lived on nature's terms. As the waves crash and the wind howls, it's easy to understand why so many myths were born here. The sea is a storyteller, its voice carried in the foam and the spray, its history written in every stone and grain of sand. From these wild and breathtaking coasts, our journey will turn inland once again into Iceland's highlands, a place of stark beauty and raw solitude, where the land feels untouched by time. The Icelandic highlands are a world apart, a vast, untamed wilderness that feels almost otherworldly. Stretching across the island's interior, this is a land of raw beauty, extreme contrasts, and almost total solitude. Here, there are no cities, no farms, no permanent settlements, just endless stretches of volcanic deserts, colorful rhyolite mountains, jagged lava fields, and glacial rivers carving their way through the earth. It's a place where nature reigns completely, where human presence feels small and temporary, and where every horizon seems to lead to a new and unexpected wonder. To truly understand the highlands, you have to feel their remoteness. Much of the region is inaccessible for most of the year, buried under snow and ice until the brief summer unlocks its rugged roads. Even then, getting here requires special vehicles and a willingness to ford rivers, navigate rough tracks, and embrace the unpredictable. The reward is stepping into a landscape that feels untouched by time. One of the most striking areas in the highlands is Landmannalaugar, often described as the crown jewel of Iceland's interior. Here, the mountains are painted in shades of red, gold, green, and blue, their colors created by volcanic minerals. Steam rises from hot springs scattered across the valley floor, offering weary hikers a chance to soak in warm water while surrounded by scenery that could belong to another planet. The famous Reykjavík Trail begins here, winding for days through black sand deserts, ice-capped mountains, and green moss-covered hills. Elsewhere in the highlands lies the black desert of Sprengisandur, a vast expanse of volcanic ash and gravel stretching between two massive glaciers, Hofsjökull and Vatnajökull. It's a stark, almost lifeless landscape, yet it carries an undeniable sense of power and mystery. For centuries, this was a dangerous route for travelers and traders, with unpredictable weather and no shelter for miles. Today, crossing it still feels like stepping into the heart of Iceland's wild spirit. The highlands are also home to some of the country's most powerful and remote waterfalls. Aldeyjarfoss, for example, tumbles through a canyon framed by striking basalt columns, its white spray contrasting against the deep black rock. Deeper still in the wilderness, Haifoss drops dramatically into a green gorge, the roar of its water echoing through the silence. These places are rarely crowded. You can stand alone before them, feeling as though you've discovered them yourself. Volcanic activity has shaped much of this land. Vast lava fields, like those near the Astra caldera, stretch across the horizon, their twisted shapes frozen in time from past eruptions. The caldera itself holds a deep blue crater lake, Viti, whose name means hell in Icelandic, a nod to its steaming, otherworldly waters. Reaching it requires a long journey across rough terrain, but standing at its edge, with nothing but volcanic mountains and sky in every direction, is an experience few forget. Life in the highlands is scarce but resilient. Moss clings to black rocks, tiny flowers bloom in sheltered valleys, and hardy birds nest in the short summer season. This is a place where survival is an achievement, and every living thing seems to embody endurance. Even in its stillness, the land feels alive, its rivers shifting, its geothermal vents steaming, its glaciers slowly but relentlessly shaping the earth beneath them. For those who venture here, the highlands are more than just a destination. They are a reminder of the raw, unfiltered power of nature. The silence is immense, broken only by the wind or the distant rush of a river. The air feels cleaner, the sky bigger, the horizon endless. It's a place where you can lose track of time and feel the ancient forces that have been shaping Iceland for millions of years. Leaving the highlands means returning to the more familiar landscapes of the lowlands and coast, but the memory of their wild beauty lingers. And from this remote, almost alien heart of the country, our journey will move toward Iceland's cultural soul, its vibrant capital city, Reykjavík, where tradition and modern life meet on the edge of the Atlantic. Reykjavík, Iceland's vibrant capital, is unlike any other city in the world. Perched on the edge of the North Atlantic, it blends the intimacy of a small town with the energy of a modern cultural hub. Here, brightly painted houses line quiet streets. Steam rises from geothermal vents beneath the ground, and the snow-capped peaks of distant mountains frame the horizon. Reykjavík is more than just a gateway to Iceland's wild landscapes. It is the beating heart of the nation, where centuries of tradition coexist with contemporary creativity. The city's name means Bay of Smokes, a reference to the steam that early settlers saw rising from the hot springs in the area. Even today, Reykjavík feels closely connected to Iceland's geothermal energy. Hot water heated deep underground powers the city, warms its homes, and even keeps the sidewalks free from ice in winter. Walking through its streets, you feel a deep sense of harmony between human life and the natural forces that surround it. One of Reykjavík's most iconic landmarks is Hallgrímskirkja, a towering concrete church whose design was inspired by the basalt columns found in Iceland's landscapes. From its observation tower, you can see the entire city spread out below, with the sea glittering on one side and the mountains on the other. Just a short walk away, the Harpa concert hall gleams with colored glass panels, reflecting the shifting light of the sky and sea. Harpa is more than a building, it is a symbol of Iceland's commitment to art, music, and cultural expression. Reykjavík is alive with creativity. Its streets are dotted with murals, sculptures, and art installations. Cafes buzz with conversation, bookstores overflow with Icelandic literature, and music drifts from small bars and performance spaces. The city has a thriving music scene, producing world-renowned artists while still cherishing its folk traditions. Festivals throughout the year celebrate everything from film and jazz to winter lights and national heritage. Yet Reykjavík is also deeply connected to its history. The National Museum of Iceland tells the story of the island from Viking settlement to modern independence. The Saga Museum brings the legendary Icelandic sagas to life, recounting tales of bravery, exploration, and survival. In the Old Harbor area, fishing boats still come and go, echoing the city's roots as a maritime community. Today, the harbor is also home to whale-watching tours, seafood restaurants, and cozy cafes with views of the sea. The culinary scene here is a reflection of Iceland itself, rooted in tradition yet open to innovation. You can taste age-old dishes like lamb, stew, or fresh fish straight from the ocean, alongside modern interpretations using local ingredients like Arctic berries, geothermal grown vegetables, and even seaweed. Reykjavik chefs have embraced the challenge of working with the island's limited but unique produce, turning it into a distinctive cuisine. Despite being the country's largest city, Reykjavik retains a sense of closeness and calm. You can walk from one end of downtown to the other in minutes, pausing to browse small shops, explore side streets, or watch the changing light over the water. In winter, the long nights are lit with festive decorations and, if you're lucky, the shimmering green and purple of the northern lights. In summer, the midnight sun casts a golden glow over the city, giving it an almost dreamlike quality. Reykjavik is more than just a stop on the way to Iceland's natural wonders, it is a destination in its own right. It embodies the spirit of the country, resilient, creative, and deeply connected to the land and sea. It's a place where you can spend the morning exploring museums, the afternoon soaking in a geothermal pool, and the evening listening to live music before stepping outside to see the northern lights dancing overhead. From here, our journey will take us to the final chapter of this story, a reflection on all we've seen and experienced, and the timeless forces that make Iceland the land of fire and ice. From the moment you first set foot on Iceland's shores, it becomes clear this is not just a place, it's a force, a living, breathing testament to the raw power and delicate beauty of the natural world. Over the course of this journey, we have traveled from fire-breathing volcanoes to frozen glaciers, from black sand beaches to emerald valleys, from the silence of the highlands to the colorful hum of Reykjavík. Each landscape, each moment, has revealed another layer of Iceland's soul, a place shaped by extremes, where creation and destruction are forever locked in an endless dance. Standing at the edge of a roaring waterfall or watching steam curl from the Earth's surface, you begin to understand how the island earned its nickname, the land of fire and ice. These forces are not just part of the scenery, they are the architects of everything you see. The glaciers carve valleys over millennia, while volcanoes reshape the land in an instant. Geothermal springs bubble up from the depths, offering warmth and life in a land that could so easily be inhospitable. Here, nature is both a giver and a taker, generous yet unforgiving. And yet, amidst these extremes, life not only survives, it thrives. Moss creeps across lava fields, wildflowers bloom in the brief summer, seabirds fill the skies, and hardy Icelandic horses graze against backdrops that seem painted by the gods. Human life here is equally resilient. For over 1,000 years, the people of Iceland have endured harsh winters, isolation, and the whims of a volatile landscape. They have learned to live not by conquering nature, but by working with it, drawing heat from the earth, food from the sea, and strength from the community. Traveling across Iceland, you come to appreciate its contrasts, not only in its physical landscape, but in its spirit. The same country that offers solitude in the highlands welcomes you with music and laughter in its capital. It is at once ancient and modern, wild and refined, mysterious yet deeply inviting. This balance is what makes it so captivating. You are never quite sure what lies beyond the next horizon. There is also something timeless about Iceland, as though the land exists in its own rhythm, moving at the pace of glaciers and tides rather than the ticking of clocks. Here, you are reminded of how small you are in the grand scheme of things, yet also how deeply connected you are to the planet itself. You feel it in the wind that carries the scent of the sea, in the heat of a geothermal pool, in the crunch of volcanic gravel beneath your boots. It is a place that demands your attention, your respect. And, as we close this journey, one truth stands clear. Iceland is not meant to be rushed. It is meant to be felt, to be walked, to be breathed in deeply. Every waterfall, every cliff, every stretch of open road offers a reminder of how extraordinary our planet is when left to its own wild design. And while photographs and films can capture its beauty, they cannot fully capture its soul. You must stand here yourself, in the wind and mist, to truly understand. The land of fire and ice will continue to change. As it always has, glaciers will retreat and grow, volcanoes will awaken and sleep, new land will form where the sea once was. But the spirit of Iceland, its fierce beauty and quiet resilience, will remain. For those who have walked its shores and climbed its mountains, it leaves an indelible mark, calling you back again and again. And so, as we take our final look at this remarkable land, we leave not with an ending, but with an invitation to return, to explore, and to keep discovering the magic of Iceland. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels and see you in the next video.